first learned about the 5-minute rule several years ago, and for anyone who doesn't know what it is, essentially you force yourself to sit down and work on something for 5 minutes that you've been dreading or putting off. The idea is once you actually sit down and start working on it instead of just procrastinating and putting it off, you'll realize it's not actually so bad, and as a result you'll continue to work on it. If you couldn't already tell, I care a lot about productivity and efficiency, and as a result, I'm always looking for new ways to combat procrastination. In the past, the 5-minute rule has served me well in a number of different instances, but over time, what I've come to realize is that there's one fatal flaw: actually putting it into use. So let's apply this to an example that I've used a few times on this channel and is personal to me, which is doing app development. So this might involve booting up your computer, starting up an IDE, running a simulator, and oh, would you look at that? That's 5 minutes. What I realized is that for longer tasks or tasks that just take a couple minutes to get started with, I find myself not starting them in the first place because I don't think I'm actually going to get anything done within 5 minutes, at which point, why am I going to start at all? And of course, this is just procrastination again, and it also probably explains why I haven't published an app in years. As I've looked to conquer procrastination and studying my habits, I realized there's gotta be a better way. And this may sound trivial, but the breakthrough came when I stopped thinking about things in terms of minutes, and I started thinking about things in terms of small, easy tasks, kind of like a checklist. So, going back to the previous example, instead of saying I'm going to spend 5 minutes working on my application and then wasting most of that time trying to boot up and get started, I'm going to say I'm going to write one method for this functionality that I've been wanting for a little while. And now, it doesn't matter how long that necessarily takes. It could take 3 minutes, it could take 10 minutes. What matters is you've given yourself this one simple task, just write one little method, and that's what you're going to do for today. By giving myself this concrete task, it no longer matters if it takes me 5 minutes to boot up, because I'm no longer thinking in terms of minutes. All I'm thinking about is the simple thing that I need to do, and it's designed to be small enough that that mental barrier that comes along with doing hard things doesn't prevent me from doing it in the first place. Now, at this point, once I've completed my task, I could step away and say I'm done for the day, and that would be perfectly fine. But the idea and the hope is that once you actually get going and you get into a little bit of a flow, that you'll realize it's not so bad and you'll actually keep working. As a result, even though maybe I sat down only to do this one specific task, once I actually start working, I might say, hey, I'll just write this other method, or maybe I'll just work a little bit on this, and the next thing you know, an hour's gone by on something that you didn't even want to get started with in the first place. That's the goal with the 5-minute rule. It's just that this takes away the emphasis on time and places it instead on specific, easy to accomplish tasking. Now, of course, this was only one small example that applies specifically to me, but the truth is it applies to so many other aspects of life. Been putting off starting that project that's worth 50% of your grade? Well, sure, working on it for 5 minutes probably isn't going to get you very far, but I think we can all agree that it's easy enough to commit to reading the entirety of the instructions and the rubric, right? That's a simple enough task, but it gets you started and thinking about it. And then maybe your next task is that you're going to make an outline of all your internal due dates of when you're going to make sure that you get certain milestones done. Once again, simple, but it also helps you because it breaks up the remaining work into smaller sections. Here's another example that I think everyone can relate to, at least to some extent. You've been saying that you really need to clean the house or the apartment, but what can you really do in 5 minutes? And where would you even start? Because there's so much to do. By this point in the video, you can probably see exactly where this is going. Commit yourself to cleaning one specific thing, whether that be one bathroom or vacuuming in one room or just doing the dishes, and that's all you have to do for the day. None of those tasks on their own are overly challenging or time intensive, which is exactly what we want, and more importantly, they're actually going to get you to make progress and actually clean up your house or your apartment. Just like the 5-minute rule and really anything else when it comes to procrastinating, you need to make sure you actually follow through with it, and there's a couple of main things you can do to help you with this. The first thing you can do is you can actually write down the task you're going to do every day, whether that be in the morning, right when you wake up, or maybe the night before, right before you go to bed. This gives you something that you can check off every day, which 1 is a good feeling, but 2 also helps reinforce that habit so you actually do it more often. And then the other thing on top of that is it serves as a visual reminder, so you don't have to sit there and try to remember what you're supposed to do that day. You can see it sitting there right there in front of you on your desk. Oh yeah, today I need to make sure I make some time to do this task. And the second thing, which I'm pretty sure I've emphasized in this entire video, is to make sure it's a small and easy task. If you're making your task too complicated or difficult, your brain is naturally going to take the path of least resistance and you're just not going to do them. And unfortunately, once you set this precedent for yourself that you're not going to force yourself to finish the task that you've set out for yourself, you're going to find that day after day, you're not doing your tasks, in which case you're just procrastinating again and you're back in the same place you started. Keep it simple and do it on a regular basis, and then if you decide to do more, that's great and that's just a bonus on top of everything else, but don't set out complicated tasks for yourself in the first place because more likely than not, you're not going to end up sticking with them. If you end up putting any of this to use, I would love to hear about it, so leave a comment down below if that's the case. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button and feel free to share it with someone else. If you're new here, consider subscribing for new videos every week. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.